But the main thing is the bile is necessary. So when you're taking purified bile salts as a supplement because you don't have the gallbladder, because you're not going to always you're not going to have enough bile sitting there in the gallbladder, so it's just a straight tube from your liver right to the small intestine. So you're getting some, but not nearly as much. So adding more, like taking a bile salt supplement after you eat, then will replace what you're missing to get as much digestion of fats as possible. So that's pretty much what it is. All right, good. So Sharon, you're from Fort Myers, Florida. You had a question about sleep aid products. Go ahead.
I have a question, yes. I have a heart valve, so I'm on Coumadin. I have no colon, and I also have autoimmune. And I'm wanting to get healthy. I guess that would be the main thing. I thought I'd start with a sleep aid and so on, and I just needed to know if this would agree with me.
Good. So yes, the sleep aid is going to help you sleep. I take it before I go to sleep. It's not necessarily targeting sleep. It's actually causing a real nice relaxation to the adrenal and the body stress, so you just can feel more relaxed. So when you go to sleep, you go into a deeper sleep cycle. And so it's not like something that has melatonin, like a hormone or anything like that. It doesn't have valerian root. It's just a formula that I created and kept tweaking over the years to really maximize sleep. I take one before I go to bed. It's going to be very beneficial. Now, just starting out, you're in Coumadin, so you can't really do all the leafy greens. So I have a video on this you can search out, and you can do this program. You're just going to have to do vegetables that are low in vitamin K, K1. But what I would do if I were you, is I would get with your doc, and there is an alternative to Coumadin that's still a blood thinning product, but it allows you to, it doesn't work in the same way. It actually doesn't block vitamin K. It works in a different way, so you can still consume leafy greens. I did a video on that. I don't know the name of the medication, but if you could actually find that video and watch it, that might be a better solution, because if you can't do high amounts of like chlorophyll type things and you're trying to do this program, then it's a little difficult, especially if you're trying to heal certain parts of your body. Now, you also probably in the meantime want to start doing research on even the carnivore. If you have inflammatory conditions in your gut, that might be a really good thing to jump into. And that way, because you're doing low fiber, you're going to do no low vegetables, you might actually end up killing two birds with one stone and not having to worry about it. All right, Sharon, thanks for your question. And let's see what we have coming in the social media. Do we have any good easy questions?
Well, here's one that I'd like to know the answer to. Ovarian cysts and PCOS. Yeah. What supplements can we take to help with that?
Excuse me. So PCOS, a polycystic ovarian syndrome, it's so funny they call it polycystic, but it's not really a cyst. It's a different thing. It's a follicle, which I don't want to get into the difference, but
like a hair follicle?
No, it's more of it's a kind of a little thing that's growing on the ovary, but it's different than a cyst. And it has to do with the shift in hormones and this hormone called androgens, which is a male hormone. So you're getting high amounts of androgen hormones when you have polycystic ovarian syndrome. And that's usually coming from high insulin in the diet. So anything that you can do to lower insulin is going to improve polycystic ovarian syndrome. It's also going to improve ovarian cyst. But if you have just a straight ovarian cyst, sea kelp and iodine is the thing that you need to focus on, because that helps bring down estrogen. That's really behind it. It's estrogen dominance. So sea kelp, okay? But if you have polycystic ovarian syndrome, the best thing to do that is like healthy keto and intermittent fasting. That's like really important. There's a lot of supplements out there to support healthy estrogen levels too, and you can take those, like anything with like the B vitamins and potassium. That would be good.
Would that be good for menopause?
Menopause, it's going to help you, but that's more of an adrenal. If you have issues with menopause, that's an adrenal issue. So, because the adrenal gland backs up the ovary during menopause, so that's about supporting stress, helping your sleep, making sure that you have enough of the things to support the adrenal. What depletes the adrenal is refined sugars and carbs. So being on the keto is going to help you. Being in intermittent fasting is going to help you with that. And there's a lot of supplements you can take too to support that, but they have to support the adrenal gland. That's the key. That's the secret of the universe, right? On that one. All right, so let's jump to Pam. Pam had a question. Marshall, Illinois. Are you there, Pam?
Yes. So I do keto and intermittent fasting, and I had numbness in the back of my foot and tenderness, and you told me to take the benfotiamine, and that has helped a lot.
Great.
But my main question today is both my shoulders kill me. I'm a side sleeper, and I can't seem to get any relief. I think maybe some of it's coming from my neck, but I wanted to know if there was anything that you thought was causing the tightness and stuff, like a mineral or something I might be missing.
Well, Pam, let's just figure this out, because there's different things going on with the shoulder. You have the outside of the shoulder right here. That's a certain joint called the AC joint, and then you have the back part and the upper part closer to the neck. Can you tell me where you feel this pain?
It's behind the shoulder a little bit in the neck, in the middle of the neck.
So it's more towards the neck, kind of up here?
Yeah, and then the shoulders just kill me because during the day they're fine, but when I sleep at night, I go on that side shoulder, and then I'm always waking up and stuff because it's just painful.
The whole shoulder itself, or towards the neck?
Yeah, both shoulders, and then up towards the back of the neck.
Okay. If we compare your left and right shoulder, which one's worse?
Maybe right.
Yeah, I thought so. That's the most common pattern. And so here's what you need to do. You need to try this experiment. Have you seen my videos on the gallbladder yet?
Yes.
Okay, have you tried to massage the area around the gallbladder?
No, but I will.
Okay, so try this. There's a video I have. It's called Dr. Berg, and then I think it's called Gallbladder Flush. It's a manual technique. You take your hands and you start kind of massaging underneath your right rib cage. Do that, and then go underneath the left rib cage. What will happen is you're going to take a lot of pressure out of that area that's probably in a protective spasm. When people have a history of eating poorly, they have a lot of gallbladder issues, there seems to be like a reflex and a spasm around the muscles around the gallbladder and underneath the rib cage. So you press through there, massage that, do the left and right side, and you're going to find out your upper back, especially the right side, is going to melt. Those muscles up there are referred pain from a nerve called the phrenic nerve that are really stemming from the digestive system. As you do keto and intermittent fasting, and you start, especially intermittent fasting, you take a lot of pressure off the digestive system, and that releases a lot of the neck stuff. I also have a video on how to stretch your scapula in the back, which will release the shoulders. So those are the things that I would really jump to, especially if you have, like, if it's close in the traps up here and the muscles up here. As far as the AC joints and things, if you have degenerative arthritis and there's calcium deposits, you're going to have to do like vitamin K2. If it's really, really bad, I'm going to recommend look into stem cell stuff. The stuff on stem cell is fantastic for shoulder injuries, and you can find someone maybe in your area that can do that and give you some, and that actually can take a lot of old damage that you wouldn't think you can actually reverse and actually improve it. So those are the answers that I would recommend, Pam. Thanks for your question, and we're going right to Lori here. What do we got, Lori?
Well, I'm sorry to ask another girly question, but I really want to know the answer to this. Collagen in pill form. I keep seeing that. I keep seeing ads for that, and this caller wants to know if it's a waste.
You know, okay, so I'm just going to give you my 2 cents on the collagen thing. I think there's a lot of people, they're just loading up with collagen. You're going to get collagen in grass-fed meats. You're going to get that in there. I'm not crazy about it. I've bought all different types. I've taken it. I've not seen great change. I don't think people are missing the collagen part, especially if they have loose skin, especially if they have weak joints. It's not a lack of collagen in the diet. It's really the other factors that allow that joint to come back. especially the growth hormone. Growth hormone is the anti-aging hormone, and without
Oh, tell me about that.
well, without the growth hormone, you can't build collagen. You can't build the joint. And so as someone ages and their joints fall apart, they immediately think, oh, I'm going to eat more collagen to fix my joint. It doesn't really work. You have to increase the growth hormone. Now, how do you do that? Exercise will increase the growth hormone if you do high intensity, okay? The best exercise, if you really wanted to know, and you have to work up to it, is sprinting. It's a painful, uncomfortable, high intensity thing, but like running on the sand or just running, sprinting in your backyard, that would give you probably a spike of 700% more than you would if you didn't do it. Sleeping also improves growth hormone. But the biggest thing that will do it up to like 1,300 to 2,000% would be intermittent fasting. Now, one of the other callers is doing a longer fast, like 14 days. That's pretty intense.
Wow.
If you do each month, Lori, if you did a prolonged fast, let's say you went 48 hours or 72 hours, you would see changes in your collagen a lot faster.
Steve was talking about that this morning, and I thought, oh, 48 hours.
I know. It's, well, kind of like this. Go as long as your body tells you. So you start going, you're like, wow, I'm not hungry, just keep going. Because a lot of times people are eating out of habit, and they're just because they're supposed to.
Yes,
It's time to eat.
that's true.
When they're not really hungry. So just go longer and keep pushing it. Each month, try to go longer. What will happen, you will see some massive changes with your joints and your skin and growth hormone, and that's like way more important. You also need other like fat-soluble vitamins for the collagen, and even vitamin C from, I recommend getting it from sauerkraut or vegetables. That's way better than taking more collagen in pill form. A little bit's not going to be bad, but it's not the big thing that's going to turn things around from my experience. That's just my opinion.
I do feel so much better with intermediate fasting. And the other day I went a day and a half, and then it was evening, and I thought, well, I better eat something.
I know. Were you really hungry though?
No, I wasn't.
It's like, it's weird. It's like you're not eating, you're not hungry, but you are being fed your own fat. You are eating, and then if you eat, then you're going to be hungry. So we just have to reevaluate this whole eating thing because I think it's overrated.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go to Tracy from Richmond, Virginia. Are you there, Tracy?
Yes, Dr. Berg. Thanks for taking my call. Well, you kind of answered the first question about the collagen, but the second question is, what do you feel about the colon, getting the colonoscopies? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, people, a lot of, they do that, they're getting their colons checked. It's kind of invasive. You're sometimes putting dye in there and you're scoping it out. It's very invasive. Plus, they put you out. So you got the anesthetics, anesthesia. So my thought, personally, is to do things as if you have a polyp or some problem in your gut. And so that way you're actively, aggressively preventing it as well. I do want to mention gut health. If you're doing healthy keto and you're doing intermittent fasting, a lot of things are going to improve with your immune system. In fact, I talked to the main guru, Thomas Seyfried, who PhD, this guy studies cancer for the last 20 years. I mean, he gets the results like no one else, and he does it with experiments on mice. But I said, what would you do if you had colon cancer or a polyp? And he said this. He said, I would just do a fast, bam, because he has the experience. Like you're gonna decrease the rate of the tumors. The other thing is like if you combine cruciferous, and this relates to my next question, which I'm not going to actually get into too much, but or my own question for you later. But cruciferous vegetables will give you protection against, they're anti-tumor, anti-cancer. So if you combine that with fasting or intermittent fasting, I think that would be the best thing. And personally, I'm not going to be doing those scopes at all. I know everyone says, oh, you have to do it yearly, but like, I don't know, it's kind of invasive. Every time they do the anesthesia and put you out, I mean, it's like it does a number to your adrenals. And I've been out several times, several surgeries, and I don't like those drugs.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome, Tracy. So I just wanted to mention a quick thing. I have a new product coming out. A couple days, guys. You can check the website. It's called mitochondria energy, and I just wanted to point out what it is because you're going to see it. I'll do some videos. I created this for myself because I wanted a type of nutrient that supported the mitochondria. Your mitochondria is like an energy factory. You have like, it's like a carburetor, and you have the air, the oxygen, you have the fuel. The spark plug that ignites the fuel to get the machine running in the mitochondria, which is your energy factory, and you have like 2,000 mitochondria in all your cells. I've counted them personally. So if you have good mitochondria that are working, you have a lot of energy. But people sometimes don't have the energy to exercise, they don't have the get up and go, and,
Yes.
and they work out and they putter out real fast.
Yes.
That is merely missing certain spark plugs. You're missing the nutrients, B1 and magnesium. It's really been hard to find a natural B1. I did find 2 different sources for natural B1, and I put them in the supplement. And I also put benfotiamine. I put different versions of magnesium, and in a blend of like food-based vitamins. So it's like some serious stuff for the mitochondria and some lipoic acid, which is an antioxidant for the mitochondria. So anyway, I wanted to come up with something that I wanted to take. So I developed it, and when I take this before I work out, I have like some serious endurance. I just can go, 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 and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. So anyway, I just wanted to say this so when you guys take this, I'll be interested to see what your feedback is too, especially when you take it before you work out. It's not like a stimulant, but it's more like, wow, I just feel like an internal, like a lack of energy, a lack of fatigue. So I just keep going, keep going. If you don't exercise, you just take it in the morning, and you'll see that your energy will come up. So I just wanted to point that out. It's not available today, a couple days. So I just want to mention that as my little side commercial. Okay, so I need to go to Sharae from Houston, Texas. Been waiting for a bit. Are you there, Sharae?
Yes, yes.
You had a question about...
Hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, what's your question?
Okay, my question is, I told you my problem, complication, and I'm going to add the frozen shoulder, my frozen, for 3 years. They did a lot of things, the doctors, but after I start keto, my blood sugar is come down, and my shoulder is much better. I couldn't take it off. Right now, I do it. But my question is, it's okay for me if I be keto and eat more fat in the morning and get fasting until evening. It's safe for me or not? Because
Okay.
I have heart failure, but right now doctor is much better.
Good. Well, you've already know that you're getting results from it. So we know it's beneficial. Are the fats bad? No, if you do high quality fats, and I'm talking about omega-3 fatty acids, and that comes from the fish oils and the fish and the salmon and the even, believe it or not, fish eggs. I have to say you get a lot of serious DHA from that. Caviar, but it doesn't have to be that expensive. If you get the ones, I found one that's like $8 for a whole container. You do a teaspoon of that, it'll last you for a good week and a half. But anyway, we're trying to increase our DHA and our EPA. Those are healthy omega-3 fatty acids. That's what you need to focus on if you want a healthy heart, healthy brain, healthy nerves, healthy eyes. But if you're in a heart transplant like you are, I think a healthy keto and IF is the most important thing. IF is going to be good for your immune system, but you probably are going to always have to take your anti-rejection medication because that's a whole different thing. But I think this will increase the longevity of your life. It's worked for these other things, so it's going to be healthy for you. So, yeah, thanks for your question. All right, so Lori, we're ready for the first question, guys. So for those of you that are watching, here's the first question, and you're going to answer the question, see if you get it right. Out of all the nuts that are available, what nut is the best nut to consume with the best omega-3 versus omega-6 ratio? Okay, because nuts generally are high in omega-6. What is the nut that has the highest omega-3 fatty acid? Go ahead.
Ooh.
Boom. Over to you guys. What do you think? And as you're answering that, we're going to go right to another question. Moon from I think Saudi Arabia. Are you there, Moon?
Yes, hello, doctor.
Hi, how are
This
you?
is Moon from
Hi.
Middle East. Hi, doctor. I have a history of PCOS,
Okay.
and so I think I'm insulin resistant because most of my weight is in my belly.
Okay.
Other than that, I am normally pretty skinny in my arms and my legs. And my problem is that I have a long history of acid reflux. And for that, I have taken everything in the market you can think of. The doctors keep on putting me on PPIs or antacids. And I just recently started keto a month ago. And in the beginning, I lost a few pounds of water, I guess. But I have this constant bloating. Constant. It's just there, 24/7.
Yeah.
So I saw your videos and I quit taking veggies for a while. I quit dairy. I lowered my fats, after a month. And this bloating is just not going away. My stools are not the way they used to be, firm.
Okay.
And I still feel very lethargic, tired. I do have a very stressful lifestyle, very sedentary in terms of office job, always sitting on the computer.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing is that recently I even started having pain in my scapula area.
Yeah.
I do have cervical spondylitis, so my doctors are saying that's probably just your spondylitis working.
Okay.
I don't know. It's a new pain.
So here's
because
what I think.
normally my
Here's what I think you should do.
spondylitis pain used to be.
So this is what you should do, Moon, okay? So, because I think you gave me a really big clue, okay? You had a history of acid reflux. Now you're doing keto and you're still getting bloating. And, I noticed you're probably thinking gallbladder, right? That's going to be an issue, but there's something more foundational. If you've been taking these antacids, they basically pull acid out of the stomach. They make your stomach more alkaline. And so what happens is that here you are, you have acid reflux, which, by the way, is, in reality, it's an alkaline stomach already, and you don't have the acid to keep the valve shut, so acid's going to come back up. So in other words, you're treating it in exactly the opposite way that you should. So if you were to acidify the stomach, okay, that's going to actually be your answer. That's going to help you long term, because even if you support the gallbladder with bile salts, unless you acidify the stomach, and that takes some time, by the way, especially if you've been on any antacids, you're going to have a hard time getting rid of the bloating because you're not able to break down the proteins. So here you get rid of the fiber, and now you can't even digest the protein. So you're going to have to increase apple cider vinegar and betaine hydrochloride. Those are the two things I'm going to recommend. You take that with each meal. You can get them in tablet form. You're going to probably need a lot of them. You might even need 5 to 6 or 7 tablets before you eat. And it might take several months for it to really impinge, but that's what you need to do. That's going to actually ultimately help you digest protein, get rid of like any gas or bloating, and then maybe add the bile salts a little bit later. But you need to acidify the stomach. And that's what you're up against, and that's why you probably haven't lost weight. So do that, and I think that's going to help you a lot. All right? All right, what do we got as far as answers?
We've got 8 different answers.
Okay.
Do you want to know who the winner was?
No, I want to know what answers first.
Okay.
What kind of answers are they giving
All
us?
right, we've got 1 for hazelnut,
Okay.
1 for pistachio, 2 for Brazil nuts, 2 for almonds, 1 cashew, 5 pecans. I probably missed some. If you check me, I'm sure I did, but this is the gist.
Okay.
Macadamia nuts 8 and walnuts 20.
Do we have a drum roll, please? And the answer is the walnut. The walnut is the winner.
I knew
Okay.
it was because one person said per your video. I would have guessed macadamia.
Now, this is a really good thing that I'm doing here because I'm actually asking you guys stuff that's in my video already. So I can tell you're not watching the videos. So here's the thing. Walnut is a very special nut. and walnut is it's high in omega-3. It does have omega-6 as well, but it has some 3 in there, way more than any other nut. And it is, there's a lot of information out there that nuts are inflammatory because they're high in 6. That may or may not be true. I think what's really going to be inflammatory as omega-6 is the oils, like the soy oil, the corn oil, the canola, the cottonseed. Those are, but if you're doing nuts, I don't think it's going to be much of a problem, especially if you make sure you beef up, no pun intended, your omega-3 from the fish oils.
What do you mean by inflammatory? What would be inflamed?
Like your joints, your gut.
Okay.
See, people take omega-3 because they want to get rid of inflammation. It's anti-inflammatory. And our society is like doing massive amounts of omega-6 versus 3. Like I think it's like 19-1. Like it's really bad. So, but if you're doing nuts, some people can't digest them, but there are some good benefits to nuts. And there's a lot more to it, but the point is that don't not include the walnut because that's omega-3. That's a really good one to take.
Good to know.
Yeah, so yeah, walnuts are good, guys.
All right.
So, and don't go away because we have one more question coming up real soon. But let me just go to Margie. Margie's been from Pennsylvania. She's been waiting for 23 minutes and 14 seconds. Are you there, Margie?
Wow.
Yes, I am.
Hi, Margie.
How you guys doing? Hi. My question is there a benefit from taking raw garlic in the morning on an empty stomach? And then the second one is, what can I do to get rid of phlegm in the throat?
Okay. So the first answer is yes, there is benefit to taking raw garlic. There's a lot of benefits to that. Absolutely. I mean, garlic is rated #1 in the most powerful anti-cancer properties of anything out there. Antiviral, antifungal, anti-candida, antibacterial. So it's good for the immune system. And then the next question she asked, what was the second question you asked, Margie?
I missed it.
Phlegm in the throat.
Yeah, phlegm in the throat. There's a really good remedy for phlegm in the throat, and that would be Spanish black radish. You can either get the radish itself from the grocery store and put it into your foods, or you can get it as a tablet form. Spanish black radish has the capacity of pulling mucus from the body, deep mucus from the inner sinuses and the throat. Typically, though, the mucus from the throat is probably coming from dairy or some food that you're eating that you're allergic to. So that's probably a better bet, but radish will help pull mucus out. I do want to mention if you have a problem with hoarseness of the throat or you ever hear someone that they're talking and they have this always have this cough or this throat thing going on for years, that is a calcium deficiency.
Never would have known that.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's the lack of calcium or it's maybe a virus coming out of remission. I don't know which one that is because sometimes people get viruses in different parts of the body and calcium will help put it back in remission. I don't know. But I do know by taking calcium lactate, it really helps that condition.
I hear
chronic
calcium
cough.
and I think bones.
Well, calcium is really important for the immune system. But realize this, calcium is overrated. Like we take way too much. If you're postmenopausal, if you take calcium, your chances of dying from a heart attack increase.
Oh.
So, and that's because, first of all, the source of calcium is they use calcium carbonate. Do you know what that is?
No.
Well, calcium carbonate is basically the cement of that wall back there. And it's like chewing on the cement. You're not going to absorb very much of it. And it's going to clog everything up in the arteries. So it's best to get the calcium from the food. And as people get older, they accumulate calcium, right? Like they have arthritis, bursitis, tendonitis.
That's true.
Joints, they're filled with calcium. They get stiff. Their arteries are calcified. So we don't need as much calcium as we might think. But what really pulls calcium out is not having maybe too many refined carbs, but also not having enough vitamin K2. Do you know about K2?
No, not a thing.
Vitamin K2 is different than K1. It's a calcium mobilizer. So it basically pulls calcium out of the joints and into the bone where it should be. It pulls calcium out of the arteries and puts it in the bone like it should be. And so that's what K2 is. So it kind of helps with heart, cardiovascular, and joint stuff, right? So, so that's good for the cardiovascular.
Yes.
Guess where you get K2 from? Fat, animal fats.
Oh.
Fatty dairy.
Another
fatty
reason why your fats are necessary.
Yeah, isn't it weird? Like sometimes the doctor's saying, stay away from fat. Well, how are you going to get your K2?
Yeah.
Interesting, eh?
One quick question,
Yeah.
Dr. Berg. The black radish with the sinus, would that help someone that gets sinus infections a lot?
Especially, yeah.
Oh,
Because radish is high in vitamin C. It's good for the liver. It's good for the gallbladder. It's good for mucus in general. I did an experiment once where I drank, you know what daikon radish is?
No.
It's like this white long radish, and it's very pungent. And I hate radishes anyway. So I just decided I want to do an experiment. So I juiced 12 ounces of radish juice, okay? Like several radishes, and I got this big 12-ounce thing of juice. And I drank it.
How was it
And
going
I closed
down?
my nose. I closed my nose so I couldn't taste it. As soon as it got down, and I opened up my nose, radish is very, very hot and spicy, okay? It burned like fire into my system. And it burned all the way through the intestines. All the way. So it was a very, I will never do that again.
That was ugly.
But you know what? It cleared out all of any mucus that I had. It was completely gone. I mean, like, it will clean out your pipes, so to speak. Don't recommend it. Okay, so thanks, Margie. Let's go to Helen from Denmark. You had a question.
Wow, thank you, Dr. Berg. Can you hear me well?
Yes, I can.
All right, thank you very much. So I'm already super thin, and I am taking most of your supplements except the ovary and a few like gallbladder and so forth. But I take most of your supplements since about 2 weeks now, and I'm doing OMAD since about 6 months, and I have just started to do a prolonged fasting for like over a day, just starting, you know. And my question is, my main concern is to repair the damages of 5 root canals and, you know, problems with my adrenals. Sometimes I wake up in the morning with pain in my adrenals, despite taking your supplements. Even though the potassium, I take about 8 grams a day, you know, throughout the day. But I wonder, will prolonged fasting, you know, I don't care if I'm getting even thinner than what I am. I'm just wondering if I should continue with prolonged fasting, taking your supplements, and of course healthy keto, which you know, it's like a lot of vegetables and lots of fat. Should I continue with prolonged fasting even if I'm already super slim?
Good question. The answer, and you also had a question about alcohol and ginseng?
Yes.
Okay.
I heard you talking about, that's
Yeah,
right.
okay. So the alcohol in some of these products, there's certain like bitters and certain herbs that have alcohol based. I don't really like them. I don't like them, even though they extract certain things, because the alcohol tends to be a solvent. So I would get water-based things, and that's just my opinion. I'm going to get some disagreements on that one. But I don't like alcohol in supplements, unless it's tequila. No, I'm just kidding. I don't drink. So here's my answer. Should you do long-term fasting? Absolutely, because what happens is your body goes into this really interesting repair mode. It actually fascinates me that you actually stop eating and your body starts healing. So, I mean, like if you have any type of chronic illness or, I don't know, whether it's infectious or microbial or even just some damage in your body, fasting is what to do. So root canals, absolutely. I think that's going to help you greatly. Continue what you're doing and just do long-term fasting, prolonged, periodic, and I think that's going to help you. Thanks, Helen. All right, good. So, do you have a question for me?
I do. On the heels of that fighting infection, one caller was asking, fighting 4-year infection. Are there any supplements or anything they can do?
Well, if you're trying to fight an infection, there's something interesting about, in addition to prolonged fasting, and avoiding sugar, which will really weaken you because it increases bacterial count. You want to go low carb, extreme, and sleep and taking hot showers. There's different infections. You have viral, you have bacterial, and there's certain things that I've just observed with people getting infections over 29 years. And I want to share that because I think it's significant. This is nearly 100% of the time. When you ask someone like, okay, you get an infection, was what triggered it? I'm always interested in what triggered it. Sometimes it's a food thing. They ate something they shouldn't.
How do you even know, though?
Well, you like, I'll give you an example. Someone got sick, and I remember sitting in the office talking to this lady, and they got sick, and I said, is there anything you ate that was bad right before that? And she goes, I can't remember. I says, okay, when did you get bad? It was Tuesday, and okay, what did you eat right before that? And she kind of like, oh, that's right, I ate some Cheetos. And she just started eating like junk food, and then she got sick. I'm like, okay, good. Okay, that's one thing. But there's a huge connection between going through a stress event and getting sick. Huge, huge, huge. I mean, it's almost like nearly 100% of the time. So stress is involved in lowering your immune system.
I'm seeing that as I get older. When I was younger, I poo-pooed all of it, but I can see how what I eat affects me now. I get more sensitive to it, I guess.
So instead of focusing so much on taking pills when you get sick, focus on what happened just before you got sick, because there's usually always a trigger. There's a trigger to that. That's like way more important than trying to like, do anything else. So, okay, change your diet, stop eating Cheetos, whatever, that would be one thing. But the other thing is like, eliminate the stress. Eliminate the stress, because the stress can set you up for, like the autoimmune thing, there's a high correlation with autoimmune and stress, and definitely even loss of a loved one and that type of stress. Like all that stuff needs to be focused on, and I found, like some people, you find that they're watching the news before they go to bed. Oh, like it's so simple, and then they stop watching the news and then they finally sleep. Okay, wow, okay, it could be that simple.
Well, maybe I should take that advice.
Yeah. Or maybe your next door neighbor is a terrorist, okay? So, and that could be stressful, constantly kind of then move. I don't know, I'm just making stuff up, but. All right, so we need to ask the last question, guys. We have more questions, but here's the last question. You ready for this, guys? All right, girls. Does cooking food increase or decrease nutrients?
Oh, good one.
Okay, so answer that question, and as you're answering the question, we're going to go right to we're going to go to Luciano. There we go. From Boston. Are you there?
Yes, I'm there. How are you, Dr. Berg?
Great, thanks.
First off, I just wanted to say I started your diet plan 3 months ago, September 1st. And the first 20 days, I was doing 20-hour fasting, but I was eating junk, and I still lost 21 pounds.
Is that right?
But I know it wasn't the smartest thing, but the last 13 days, I went to OMAD Keto, and I'm now total down 35 pounds. So thank you very much.
That's great. That's really
yes. So 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with a fatty liver, and I'm a retired martial artist who has osteoarthritis in both hips. I had the left hip replaced, and I was taking an NSAID called meloxicam, and I found that it affects your liver. So I stopped taking it roughly around the same time I started keto, and the pain in my right hip, which is bone on bone, has gone away. I feel great with that. So I am now wondering, is it possible that the keto diet is repairing the osteoarthritis in my right hip?
Well, good question. I think it's the combination of healthy keto and intermittent fasting. The intermittent fasting is like super powerful in dropping inflammation. And so is cutting out your carbs. But even more so, it's intermittent fasting that will reduce inflammation. So if you have bone on bone or hip replacement or any type of old damaged joints, intermittent fasting is going to be your best bet, and that's probably doing the great things that it's doing now. So that's probably why. Couple things that I want to add to that. Stinging nettle root is one of my favorite go-to herbs to drop inflammation. It seems to work very well on those conditions. The other thing I want to mention about inflammation is, especially in men, if you get your iron checked, a lot of times the iron will be high. And iron is interesting because iron does not leave the body very easily. We tend to retain iron, and we don't even have a pathway or a mechanism of getting rid of the iron that is in excess. So as we age, especially men, we accumulate iron, and iron is very oxidating to the body. It creates a lot of damage in the joints, in the heart, in the brain, and it lowers testosterone as well. So one thing that I would recommend for if you actually happen to see if you have high iron is to get a good chelator, and the best chelator is something called IP6, and it's kind of what it does is it helps pull out the excess iron, and it's basically phytic acid, and good remedy to lower that, and especially if you have any genetic conditions of high iron. But just want to throw that out there as a possible solution. All right, thanks for your call. All right, what do we got for answers here?
All right, we have got 2 depends.
Okay.
Depends on, or 3 of them. 3 depends on if it's overcooked.
Okay.
1 depends on the type of food.
Okay.
4 say decrease,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm sorry, increase,
Mm-hmm.
and 17 decrease.
Okay. So the answer to the question, does cooking food increase or decrease nutrients? And the answer is, it does both, as a trick question. So you're all right. So let me explain this, okay? So when you cook food, and I'm not talking about killing the food with overcooking, I'm just talking about stir frying, steaming it, and cooking it in a moderate way. You do lose nutrients, especially the water-soluble ones, like the vitamin C and some of the B vitamins, can go into the water, and then you lose those if you don't drink the water, and some of the minerals too. So heat does destroy some of the fat-soluble vitamins, vitamin B, vitamin C. Okay, that's true. All right. However, if you cook vegetables, you enhance some of the phytonutrients.
What are those?
Phytonutrients are kind of like nutrients, special nutrients in vegetables and other foods that give you additional health benefits that go beyond vitamins and minerals. Like, for example, beta-carotene or carotenoids, or things called leucopene
Or K2? Would that
that's
be
something
that
different.
kind of thing?
That's different.
Okay.
Yeah. Tocopherols. There's different chemistry names for these things, but they're basically called phytonutrients. They're like antioxidant type things. And so when you cook the foods and steam them, they actually increase. In fact, you can increase beta-carotene by 6.5 times by stir frying.
Wow.
And so,
and it's good that way.
yeah. So, but
Veggies.
but if you look at this though, what's interesting about this is that a lot of these phytonutrients are in the cruciferous family. The kale, the bok choy, the broccoli, the mustard greens, like those things. It's hard to eat those raw. So we naturally cook those. Brussels sprouts, right?
Oh, yeah.
And even like when you like cook asparagus, you're going to cook those. It's hard to eat those raw. Cauliflower, are you going to do that raw?
Never.
Right. So the cool thing is you guys are already cooking those or steaming those. And you're actually, I just want to let you know, you're getting more enhancement of certain phytonutrients. So that's cool. But you wouldn't normally take a salad and cook it, would you?
I've had grilled Caesar salad, and it was really good.
Oh, wow. You got me on
Just
that
had
one.
to throw that in there.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. So typically, if you have like leafy greens, you're not going to necessarily fry those or cook them.
Right.
Unless you're going to deep fry them, which is an idea, but I wouldn't do it. So this is what I recommend, guys. Do half of your vegetables raw, like your salad, leafy greens, and then do half of them cooked. Do the cruciferous. Cook them, steam them, don't overkill them, saute them, stir fry them. So that's what I recommend.
Grill them?
Yeah, you can grill them. So then you get the benefits of some of the phytonutrients. Like I was at a restaurant the other day, and I ordered cauliflower that was roasted. And it wasn't overly cooked, but it came out this small little cauliflower, the whole thing, and they put cheese over it, and it was high quality cheese on a cauliflower roasted. That was so amazing.
Roasted veggies are
I like
so
them.
good.
Yeah. So anyway, I think you can do that, and yeah, so that's pretty cool. All right, so we need to go to Wesley from, let's see, are you there, Wesley? Or Wiley, I'm sorry. Go ahead, you had a question.
Yes, Wiley. Hi, I had two questions. The first one is, if you're concerned about SIBO, you've suggested reducing your vegetables, and I'm wondering if it matters whether you cook the vegetable, back to cooking vegetables, if you cook the vegetables as opposed to like a salad, or if you're cutting back the vegetables, should you eat more protein and fat to replace that quantity of food?
Good question. Okay, SIBO, what is that? Do you know what that is?
No.
Okay, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. That's basically, see, all the microbes in your gut, most of them should be in the large intestine. Okay, not the small intestine.
Why?
It's just how our digestion is, because they do have different purposes. So the small intestine is like 23 feet, and then you have the large intestine, which is 5 feet, the last part. So when SIBO is a condition where you have a lot of these microbes higher in the digestive tract in the small intestine. It shouldn't be there. So if you have too much of bacteria in the wrong place, then you get like bloating and gas and more like methane gas, bad odor. So these
What happens to our husbands, you mean, and our boyfriends?
Right,
Never
exactly.
us,
No,
girls.
it's the husband. Well, what happens is like those microbes live on fiber. So when you feed them vegetable and other fiber, they grow more in the wrong place. So they feel worse on the vegetables. So she's asking, should we cook them? Here's the thing, you're still going to get the fiber when you cook them. Cooked vegetables will help people with more IBS and other conditions, and steam will help them because the more sensitive a person is digestive-wise, the more they can't digest raw anything. So unless it's certain actually meats, by the way. But the point is that, yeah, I wouldn't go the route of cooked vegetables to help SIBO. What you could do is you could do like the wheatgrass juice powder I have. It's the wheatgrass without the fiber, so it's just pure nutrients. So you can get the benefit of that. But the best bet for SIBO is to increase the stomach acid with apple cider vinegar and betaine hydrochloride. So we get the stomach more acid. We stick with more protein and fat. That's what we need to do, and less fiber. And then do fasting. That's the combination that will slowly turn things around over probably a period of a month. And you can also do some herbal things like thyme, clove, oregano, maybe in some of your food, to actually help act as an natural antibacterial or antibiotic to actually kill off those microbes.
Never knew that either.
Learn something new every day.
I do. Every day I come to the show, yes.
Okay, well, thanks for your question. And then we're going to go right to Albert from San Jose, California. I'm just making things up. Are you there, Albert?
Yes, I'm here. How are you doing?
Good. What's your question?
The reason why I was calling is I was wondering how much food should you eat, and what should your macros be if you're only eating an OMAD diet?
Yeah.
And are you trying to reach the targets the same eating OMAD versus like when you're eating two to 3 meals a day?
Good question. Well, I did a video on that, but I'm going to give you a quick answer because it's really hard to determine how many calories you need. This is what you need to know. If you're doing 1 meal a day, it's called OMAD, 1 meal a day. You're not going to be eating the same calories as 3 meals or even 2 meals, just because you can't fit that much food into your body. And as you eat less frequent, what happens is your body requires less nutrients. And you realize between the meal, you're living off your fat as calories too. That's addition to what you're eating. So on a 1 meal a day, some people eat anywhere between 1,000 to 1,200 to up to 1,500 calories for that 1 meal. That's what they're doing. And then they're basically going all the way to the next day. So I have a video on that. You can watch that for more detail, but it is an individual thing. And you can just go by on you eat until your point where you're like, okay, I am completely satisfied, and not stuff yourself too much, or even spread that meal out over a course of an hour, But there is a problem. Sometimes people don't eat the right types of foods, concentrated enough into the right nutrients. So I watch my videos on that point. But thanks for your question. We're going to go right to Omar from Toronto. You had a question.
Hi, Dr. Berg. How are you?
Hi, good.
Dr. Berg, I have cystic fibrosis and also diabetes type 1. And I take porcine enzymes for digesting my food and also insulin. My issue is that for the past 3 weeks, I've been going like my stools are not formed properly because I had an infection and I had to be hospitalized. And when I came off the antibiotics, they said it's diarrhea related to that. So I went on probiotics, and that hasn't really fixed. And it's been over 3 weeks now, and I'm still in that, off and on diarrhea. Stools are not formed properly. I did try taking apple cider vinegar. What I've seen is that when I take apple cider vinegar, there seems to be steatorrhea or oily when I go to the washroom. And if I don't take apple cider vinegar, it's just mushy. That's what it is.
Okay.
Any recommendation or?
Yeah. Well, there's a couple things. I think you got hammered with this antibiotic, and now you're trying to reestablish the microbes. You may want to consider just using what's called effective microbes. It's a different type of probiotic. I have some in my website. You can check it out. It's just basically called friendly bacteria in a liquid form, but it's different than the dairy microbes. Its effective microbes has friendly yeast, friendly fungus, friendly bacteria. People think always just it's like bacteria. No, you need all these microbes together. It's a synergistic blend of this liquid that does not get destroyed through the stomach, and I think it's a really wide spectrum, good thing. You take it right before you go to bed, and it grows all night long, and it starts to help your stool. And the reason I like that is because I find that when people do that version, like they don't have any more odor in their stool. Like the odor goes away.
Yay.
They have better formation.
No more potpourri needed.
Exactly.
Or poopery.
Right. And they just have better formation, and sometimes they don't even need to use toilet paper. Not that you're not going to not use toilet paper, but sometimes people need a lot because it gets kind of messy. I don't want to bring this up, but the point is that it helps the formation of the stool. So you might want to check that out on the site. The other thing, you have cystic fibrosis. One good remedy that you might want to consider as a side note is serapeptase. I did a video on that. Look that up. That's a good one to actually help that condition. And then the last thing I'm going to say is that blackberries with some kefir blended is good for diarrhea if you have really loose stool. So take it temporarily. That seems to be like a really good thing for that. Now I'm going to be going over to the lab, the Keto and IF lab real shortly here. So if you want to stick around and ask more questions, I'm going to be over there. But I want to thank you guys so much for being online and having the patience of sticking around this long. Thank you, Lori, for
Thank you for
helping
it.
me
It was
out.
wonderful. I love hearing all the answers to the questions.
These guys are pretty smart.
They
It's
are.
amazing. All right, have a great weekend. We'll see you next week, guys. Try to stay cool. It's too hot out there, isn't it?